Hello everyone, welcome to the Wealth Informatics Buy versus Rent Calculator tutorial. I have created this Excel spreadsheet calculator for you to play with. Most of the online calculators have a graphical interface where you could input the house cost and rent. But there is so much more to the buy versus rent equation. Property taxes, general inflation, rent increase, a lot of moving variables. These variables are either not taken into account or the calculator is not transparent enough for us to know what values goes for this variable so that we can change according to our own scenario. With this sheet you can do a lot of what if analysis. There are three worksheets in this buy versus rent calculator spreadsheet. The first worksheet has some general information on how to use this calculator and my assumptions. The assumptions are important because if something is not applicable to you, you can go ahead and change it. And further down here is the graphical key on how to use this calculator. It should be pretty intuitive. If not, you can come back here to see the explanation of each cell. And the second worksheet has the actual calculator. The actual calculator itself has 5 parts. The first one is where you enter your numbers for the buying scenario. The second part is the renting scenario. And the third is a head-to-head comparison on the numbers of buying versus renting. The fourth section is for you to change the tax deduction on the mortgage interest. So if you have a standard deduction, you cannot take any mortgage interest deduction. So based on your own situation, you can change it here. And the final section is the graphical representation of the calculator. The third worksheet is the actual month by month breakdown of your cash flow. We can get to this number a little later. Now let's go back to the buy versus rent calculator to actually use it. To make it easier for us to walk through this calculator, I will be taking an example. Let's say a nice Southern California suburb. You like the neighborhood, the school district is good and not a bad commute either. And you find a house that you really like. The house right next to it is available for rent. Let's assume the rent for that house is $3,000 and you are expected to pay the renter's insurance, and the renter's insurance is around $150. And the purchase price of the house, let's assume, is $600,000. And we can also assume that you are responsible and saved for a down payment of 20%. The rest of the cells are pretty intuitive, I think. How much is the interest rate for your mortgage? If you have a good credit score and everything is good enough, you will get a good interest rate, maybe 4.5%. If not, you can change it to whatever you feel like you will be getting. And here is the length of the mortgage. I have put the standard 30-year mortgage. If you are going for a 15-year mortgage, change it here. And you can change the property tax rate, annual homeowners insurance, and if you are buying a condo and you are expected to pay the homeowners association fee, include that here. If not, you're buying just a single family townhouse or something, you can just leave the value as 0. And here is the annual maintenance value. We don't usually think about all these things, but if we are buying a house, it needs maintenance and we have to set aside certain amount of money every year to do the maintenance. So usually I have seen 1%, around 1% of the purchase space set aside as the annual maintenance amount. So you can go with that or just leave it as whatever I have here. And this PMI percentage is I have given the standard PMI rates based on how much down payment you have. In this case, for 20% down payment, it goes to 0. For example, if you don't have 20% down payment and have only 10%, it will automatically assume the lowest, standard rate. You can easily change this rate here if you know what your rate is going to be. That's it for the buying scenario. And the gray cells are, again, you can change those values, but they are a little difficult to guess. For example, the annual appreciation value, a house won't be going up every single year, the house value. I have put 3%, but some years it might be going in the wrong direction. So just handle these values with care. And also the similar value to the annual appreciation is the rental price inflation. In this case, it is how much the rent is expected to go up. Usually it is you can have the similar value, it won't be too different. If the house prices are going up, the rent prices might go up too. It might not be the case always, but generally these two values, it is good to have these two values as close as possible. And the marginal income tax rate, you should know this from your last year tax return. And I have by default a 2% inflation rate. If you believe it will be super high, feel free to change it. And the other gray cell is the rate of return on cash. This includes that you will be saving, if you didn't buy a house, for example, you would be saving the down payment and your closing cost in some investment vehicle, and that cash will be earning you some income. And that would be the return on investment. This also includes the balance in cash flow. For example, if your mortgage is going to be $3,500 and your rent is going to be $2,500, I am assuming that you will be responsible enough to save the rest of the $1,000 in a good investment vehicle that will earn you this much return. The other cells you can input is the number of years you are expected to stay in this house. If you think you will be staying for 15 years, just put it here. If you think you will be in this house only for 5 years, just change it here and see how the scenario plays out. And the selling cost here is, I have assumed again the standard selling cost of 6%. If you feel free to change all the cells and see how that plays out. So with this amount, we see that it is better to rent. This value will automatically change based on all the input values you gave in this calculator. Oh, and I forgot about the tax situation. So this tax situation is depends on your individual amount you spend on different things like charity, state tax, and other property taxes. For example, if you are in Texas and you are buying a really modest foreclosure home for $80,000, you will probably take the standard deduction, because just the mortgage interest alone won't justify taking an itemized deduction. But if you are buying a house where itemized deduction makes sense, check this itemized deduction combo box and the value will automatically change. So this one says if you are going to stay for only 5 years, you are supposed to rent, because the break-even point is 5 years and 8 months. The break-even point is what this means is, when will buying make more sense than renting? So you have to stay in this house for at least 5 years and 8 months for you to buy. Otherwise you will lose money. Let's for example, if you want to see what if I stay in this house for 10 years, then as you can see, it says it is better to buy. And also you can change everything here. If you found a house in the same locality, but for some reason the landlord is renting it to you for just $1,000, then even at the end of 10 years it still makes sense to rent. And the break-even point is none, because even if you stay in this house for 30 years you won't break even. But if you change the rental value to 2,500, now the break-even point is 10 years and 5 months. So as long as you stay for more than this time, it is better to buy. If you are going to stay only for 10 years, it is better to rent. If you want just a bird's eye view of your buying versus rental situation, this worksheet will give you all the information you need. But if you are a numbers person and want to really drill down on what the numbers look like month to month, you can go to this spreadsheet. So in the month 0, your home value is $600,000 and you put 20%, so when you start, the equity would be 20% and rest of the amount is your mortgage loan. And the mortgage payment is automatically calculated based on the standard formula. On the first few years, you will be paying most of the mortgage payment will go to the interest. You will be paying only less in principal. And if you took the itemized deduction, the interest rate is deductible. So the interest rate along with the property tax will make the income tax savings. So this will be your income tax savings for the first month. And then here it's the standard homeowners insurance, and if you have the condo fee in the calculator, it will be reflected here. We didn't have any condo fees for this example, so it is all 0. And then again the maintenance amount, and this would be the cash in hand if you are selling right that month. For example, if you just buy and turn around and sell it, the equity would not have changed and the home value would not have changed, but you have to shell out 6% of the selling cost, so you will lose money. So the cash in hand if you are selling is only $24,000 in the first month in this case. And this is the total cash flow every single month if you are buying. This involves all the mortgage payment, income tax savings, the private mortgage insurance if you put less than 20%, condo fees, maintenance, and all the amount, the entire amount you spend on housing if you buy. The second section here is the rent. So if you remember, we put the rent as $2,500 and the rental insurance. So if you are going to rent, the total amount you spend on the rental house is $2,650. And the savings if renting is the total cash flow minus the rent you are going to spend on this house. And if you save that amount, how much cash you will have in your savings. And it starts with your down payment, closing cost, and it adds the every single month savings to this amount. So this is pretty much the month by month cash flow of buying versus renting. And as you can see here, the private mortgage insurance, you don't have to keep paying that insurance if you have more than 22% of the equity, so it stops there. So that's pretty much it. I think I have taken all the scenarios into account. If I have missed anything, feel free to let me know at wealth.informatics, that is wealth.informatics@gmail.com, or just fill out the contact form in my website wealthinformatics.com. I am planning to put a lot of calculators like this, so I will see you soon. Thank you.